We are going to discuss very shortly today the case of Binny versus the revenue. Okay, and we are going to discuss in depth analysis of that. We would put in the blog the judgment, the context of the judgment, contents, and now it is going to affect differently on the contacts. Okay, so there would be PPT and YouTube presentation as well as these things. In our blog, we have got a lot of our blog address is Nitin Pathak blogspot.com. Any question regarding this, you can ask me. We have already taken a class on AI, different workshop, different things are available. AI is no more going to be a buzzword. It is going to be the tested time. These 2 days, we are going to talk tomorrow on economic survey in India. On the basis of which sector is going to grow, which sector is going to be benefited will also be discussed. On the 1st of this month, February, there is going to be a budget presentation before Parliament. We are going to have an in-depth analysis section by section for the purpose of income tax. And then there will be a talk on GST also. Okay. The GST talk will be taken by CS Nirav Shah. We are already going to talk tomorrow on B2B on LinkedIn. We have already talked on different subjects, including land eviction, leave encashment, contested with contested divorce, global tiger judgment, which is very important. On the basis of the same thing, the other judgment has come. GST transfer price, transfer of taxable of leasehold right is also covered on the blog. We are going to cover on economic survey on February 2nd, in-depth analysis by me on February 4th. Now, I'm going to discuss this Binny. Before I'm going to discuss, let me discuss about the section. What section says? Any individual, here Binny is an individual, any individual liable for tax is on that financial year, previous year, he is more than 182 days, or he is left India. Okay, so this C part is important, which is contextual with the discussions going on. In the previous 4 years, is 365 days he is in India, or 60 days. This 60 days is extended when person leaves India on that year. If he has stayed more than 182 days, less than 182 days, he will be considered as non-resident on the day on the previous year in which he lives. In this case, he is left, and in the concern year is not 1890, 1920. So this section 6AC will not be applicable. It's been explained in detail. Outside India, qua India is explained. So section 6.1 explanation was 365 days in a previous 4 years plus 60 days. 60 days extended. That they have used the extended for 182 days. Section 6.1A, explanation 1A, is for the purpose who is going on a job called shipping and some other industry, which I'm not going to discuss. But being a citizen of India or a person of Indian origin who being outside India comes on to visit to India, suppose a person who is outside India coming to India, if he is more than less than 4 in the 4 years, more less than 365 days, and he stays in India for less than 60 days, the definition is extended to 182 days, because the purpose of the definition, when person comes from abroad, stays in India for because of Indian connection or because of his investment in India, the number of days extended to 182 days. This is the definition, which is a catch which Binny was using, but was not allowed to use it as per the section. Okay, this is where the whole catch is about. Then I'm not going to discuss whole sections, but I'm going to discuss about capital gain tax in resident definition. Here, they were consider themselves as a resident on the basis of they being a Singapore, they have got a PR. They are staying there, they've got an employment, their family is there, they've got to have a house there, they've got a job there. So what they're saying, they are resident in both the countries. So they said that they want to go according to tiebreaker test. Your tiebreaker test is also failed. This is what I'm explaining the section. Then I'm going into this explanation. For the purpose of this resident of contracting state means a person who is a contracting state, other contracting state. So either I'm a resident of India, other contracting state, I'm a Singapore. You have to read like this. Okay? Where for any reason, paragraph 1, and it is resident of India as well as Singapore, then he shall be deemed to be resident in which he is a permanent home available to him. If he has a permanent home available to him, both the state, he shall be deemed to be resident in which his personal or economic relationship are closer. In this case, Mr. Binny has a residence in Singapore as his leased house there, residence. His family was there. His children were studying in a school. His wife was there. He have got a bank account there. Credit card is there. So he said that I got a house in Singapore as a lease rent house, and India has got a how much house? He has got 3 houses. So what government says, what department says, they have got a more house type with this thing. And then number 1, he has got an employment there, but his employment were casual. It's been contradicted for so many reasons, but his investment in India in form of his tie-up with so many companies as a startup. His economic tie-up is more in India than there. This is the way what they say that resident clause is also not applicable because of tie test is also against him and become a resident. Okay. The third one was his definition as a company. Let me, if I go through whole section, let me assume India. I put before this slide India, Singapore Treaty, Article 30 on capital gain. Immovable property would be always liable to tax in the way where the situs is there. Same with aeroplane, same with the aircraft and everything, ship. When it comes to movable property gains from alienation of movable property forming a part of business property where P is established. In this case, the shares were of a Flipkart. Where is the P? P is in India. And that is a fixed base. So this test is also failed here. So with this, I'm going into the fact of the case which I'm going to discuss. First, I've given the section on the basis with the judgment has come. This judgment is on the basis of, is called Binny Banshal for the revenue, a strategic analysis, the ITA number 571, Bangalore 2023, related to assessment year 2021, financial year 1920. The dispute was regarding 1,081 crore capital gain arising out of that because they say that I am a non-resident and the other one, the shares are of a Article 13 of treaty applies. The judgment of a court is that he is liable for tax on the basis of section 6(1)(c). In the other one was that type test also fails, and there are certain job discrimination which is provided is also anomaly which is being discussed. Certain advantages were given in the form of refund or some calculation mistake, so he is partly allowed. I'm going into the facts of the case. I've already discussed 6(1)(c), explanation 1, this one. Then I'm going to definition of resident is there, capital gain tax. Now I am into the presentation part of it, of this thing. Okay. Mr. Binny was this taxpayer, Indian citizen, co-founder of a Flipkart. His Tiger case was also there, which is also being dismissed on the ground of GAR, and is well explained in my presentation there on the blog. This is really he's been hit hard by both the judges. His pay pocket would be deeply hurt because of these two judgments, which is fundamentally one is on the basis of GAR, and the other one is on the basis of 6(1)(c), explanation given by that, and tie test also fails. 144(c) judgment is also being in favor of revenue. because he is not he is a resident. This section 144C will not be applicable. That's the whole crux of this. Now I'm going into details because where he fails in the planning, where he is anomaly, why judges were prejudicial to him is also explained because of the creation of the forum to avoid tax. Okay? This is what I given you exact page number 47, where para number is also explained by me here. But first, understanding of the law and then the factual presentation. Uh, he was there since 1112 in India. Mr. Binny, the tax-Indian citizen and co-founder of Flipkart e-commerce platform, he was assessed in India for since 1112. During 89, he resigned from his flagship company Flipkart, and he met some very wonderful tax consultant to plan it. But in 2025, he fell both miserably down to earth, and but it enlightens the people around the world that India is no more a tax haven. You can manipulate the only one-liner. The source country should be paid tax. Source means a resident of the money, a resident of a wealth. That is was fundamental. If you learn that, there would be you could avoid lot many tax planner. One other is a FAR test. Function, assets, and risks. You take it. The money you get it. So again, going back to during 2018-19, the taxpayer resigned from the flagship company. He subsequently joined in 1920. He left India, joined Singapore. He sold shares from Singapore around 10.74 billion rupees. And during the sequence of the event, let me tell you, he resigned from Flipkart in November 18. He joined January 19. Established a company, X10X Technology, SGCO. And January, February, he got a visa there or approval from there. He had entered into employment agreement in 17 February 19. This is this case related FY 1920. He's just pre-planned everything there. And endorsed the pre-employment, left India in February 2019. So he left India in 1819. So he's living outside India. When he left India would not be applicable here because he left India 1 year before. The case related to 1920. Otherwise, 182 days provision would be applicable. 60 days could have been extended to 182 days. But he was not there also 182 days. That's not a question here. But left India, wife and children were relocated to Singapore. April to August, he frequently traveled to India for personal purpose. Entered into 21st August. जो company पुरानी थी, SGCO, X2 Extend Technology, he resigned and joined a new company, SGCO. Entered into agreement, Free State Capital Advisor, PTE Singapore, SGCO. Sold the share of Flipkart Singapore. That was Flipkart Singapore was holding the shares of Flipkart India. He sold the Flipkart share of that. What they say is that what they're saying, GAR says, it's not about the actual transaction. It's all about what actually happened. Corporate will beyond that. That's what GAR comes. GAR has changed the whole this provision. Visit in SGH to September, in principle, approach Singapore government or issues employment pass, resign. Now, this anomaly I have explained in the later part of my presentation, the PPT. Resigned, departed in 10th September, departed from India to Singapore. Commencement approved in September, sold shares. During FY 1819, he was a resident in India. 1920 is a non-resident on the basis of this 13.5. I have explained 13.5 in detail about capital gain tax being exempt for that DCIT. And this would be available on presentation also. 13.5 is a section by which capital gains from alienation of any property other than referred in section 1, 2, 3, 4, A, B. 1 means, I've already said, contract is an immovable property. 2 is a movable property. 3 is capital alienation. 4 is alienation acquired against from alienation of shares acquired before 1st April 2017. That is pre-GAR. And capital gain acquired before 1st April 2017. This is not here in this case. Okay. However, again refer to section 4B during period beginning from 1st April to March ending 5% or not there. So this is what he claimed under this provision. This is available on blog also. So he claimed exemption under DTAA Article 13 subsection 5, which is also there. The assessment proceeding started and explanation 61C, explanation 1B. 1B, I've already said that he was what is the explanation why this section has been changed from 60 days to 1 days? Because the person who is left India abroad, but most of the time in the previous year he was an Indian citizen. He was in India. Those who have gone abroad and stayed abroad and then come back to India, from them this section is there. But he's not left, not outside India. So that's why this section is not available, because that purpose of the section was those who are resident outside India or staying outside India, and they're coming back to India for the purpose of their investment matter and for the purpose of their family connection. They have been liberty to extend 60 days to 182 days. In this case, there was no other reason in being there. Because of this logic, section 6, expression 1B, to section 61C, he is not entitled for. This is the crux of this section. Since the taxpayer was a resident in India, 1880 extended, he was around somewhere many days, which I've explained in this also. He has got a TRC under Article 4(2) of the country. उसके पास TRC भी था. Consequently, the taxpayer's global income, including Flipkart, is not liable for it. Issue under consideration. Well, I've already covered exception 1C, taxpayer's contention. Now we are explaining, we are contending not the judgment. What Binny, the lawyer, Binny and his lawyer says. He stays in India 182 days? No. But the he's staying refer to section 60 days and more, 365 days in. He was in there 365 days, and 60 days should be extended to expression 1C. That was a contention raised by the thing. And alienation that left India in 19, he said that he was leaving India for another job. So for that, they want to extend the alienated alternate claim, left India for employment. He's already left in 31st January 19, he has already left. Now he has changed the job. Does not mean he has left. That's the alternative argument which they put, which does not agree. Left India for employment 19 to 182 days. Alternative taxpayer argued that he was also eligible for extended 182 days instead of 60 on the basis of expression 1A. He said no. He has left India previous year FY 18-19. Okay. He was there and he's changed the job. Not because he's come back. Okay. That's one of the arguments which is been rejected. Okay. Now comes the taxpayer Singapore as a tiebreaker test. Tiebreaker test I've already covered. He's a PR of both the country. Which first definition क्या बोलते हैं? In case of a resident definition, let me read it again. Okay. For the purpose of the agreement, resident of quarter means a person who is a resident of quarter in accordance with the taxation law of that state. Where person is a resident of both the country, he has a house at both the places. Okay. But where he reside more intensely, he is in India for so many days. And number 2, he is in India 3 houses. Here only residence. Then second one, he has a more intense economic connection. So how many investment is there in India? More than 800 crore. He has got 3 houses, more than 800 crore. That's why he is economically tiebreaker test. Also, he comes to India. Okay. Then what is they saying? One wonderful argument. Section 143(2), NFAC 3, like jurisdiction. What they're saying, when it comes to non-resident, jurisdiction does not lie with national fiscalist this thing. No, they say that he's a resident and he's entitled for that. That's why he is 143. Notice under one issued under NFSC which lacks duration as the case falls within the international scope of it, rendering the assessment other reason invalid. You allegedly taxpayer as a resident under section 144C, 144C DRP proceedings. Okay, they would have draft assessment proceeding, but here in this case is a resident in 144C, the draft proceeding made, that is a resident, so he is not entitled for the proceeding under this thing. This is the contention of the AO which I am saying, and I have given you all explanation why it is not so. On being residence outside, I already said 6 months is not applicable. Alternate claim, leaving India for the purpose of employment is not considered a carryable device because there is a lot of plans. Tiebreaker test is also not coming. Assessment proceeding is also not coming. And hence, the assessment is made on the basis of what contention? 6(1)(c) is not applicable. DTAA is not applicable tiebreaker test, and he has made a lot of colorable devices. Now I am going to do PPT presentation here for the purpose of this thing. I think I'm not going too fast. Okay. Now, उसने रिटर्न भरा था 8.3 करोड़. क्या किया? 1081 करोड़. Executive summary. Post Walmart, Binny Agrawal, Binny Bansal has sold the shares of Singapore on assessment year 1920 by becoming a Singapore, by establishing himself in Singapore as a colorable devices. Wonderful planning. Failed miserably, both in the case of Tiger as well as in his own case. The post-Walmart acquisition, Binny Bansal, shares in Singapore, relocate himself in February 19, claims a non-resident in the year because he left India in February 19. And in FY 1920, he was non-resident. The revenue category as resident that move was a colorable device to evade capital gain tax. A test of substance over form. Form mein lagta hai he was working there, but there are so many anomalies there. He is not working there. Okay, that's what judge has come to a conclusion, and we have presented here also. I have already covered here. He resigned, joined, resigned Flipkart, traveled to Singapore, joined X2X in February 19. That day he becomes a non-resident, according to him, for his financial year 1920. Financial 1920, 1890, he became resident because it's more than 182 days in India. Resigned for XO, joined 3SO, जाके फिर से एक नई कंपनी की. बोथ का एड्रेस कौन था? सेम था. So times June event, sales of cut shares, sciences to stay in India on that day for 140 days, including 103 days of a COVID exemption. Okay. 6(1)(c), I've already said 6 days cannot be extended. Default status, he become resident. This is already extended it, so I'm not going into these slides. वो क्या बोलते हैं, डिफेंस वाले क्या बोलते हैं? Situation outside India. But this is not applicable in this case. The statute wording, the law uses the word being outside India. आप फॉरेन रहते हो, यहाँ घूमने आते हो, आप तो गए ही अभी हो. It's not like that. Okay. Ruling मेजर कुमार कुट्टी का हाई कोर्ट का जजमेंट भी यहाँ एप्लीकेबल होता है. फिजिकल साइटस वर्सेस दिस थिंग. ये मैंने इसका जो सर्कुलर है वो मैंने यहाँ बताया. CBDT सर्कुलर 684. Absurd argument of 140 days not apply here. Okay. Timing February 18, 19. He leaves India. वो leave उससे क्या था? वो उधर जॉब छोड़ के फिर से नहीं जा रहे. He want to use everything what is available to him. Now, okay, 1A does not apply because he left already India in 18 February 19. He got another job. वो भी सेवी कंपनी थी, उसका ही कंपनी थी. Your event of living is 182 does not apply to in this case also. What is saying? Binny Bansal, the same office address. X2, 10X, 3 state capital, the same address, no independent employment. Structure was an artificial device to sit and avoid capital gain tax. No conclusion. Smoking gun. Now this is wonderful. You know, you think that government department is full. Now you see the August 19. ये इन्होंने लिख के दिया, इन्होंने अपने पेपर सबमिट किया. वही उसमें क्या बोला? signs an executive agreement with new company called Three State Capital, which is done on 20th August 2019. That day was not in that country. Signs executive agreement with new employer, Three State Capital. Date clearly proceeds resignation from old company. कंपनी में रेजिग्नेशन से पहले वो नई कंपनी ज्वाइन कर ली. My goodness. September 19, resigns old employer, X to X, while he was physically in India. September 19 में उधर रिजाइन करता है, इंडिया में रिजाइन करता है, उधर से रिजाइन करता है. Claims unsubstantiated by independent evidence is not in under section point 47. The implication, ये judgment में 40 point number 47 point में ये मिल जाएगा. The implication, how can one sign a new employment contract 15 days before he resigned from the old one? This sequence of is described 47 to suggest that employment was a paper formality to create an appropriate compliance section expression 1A. उनको पहले से पता चल गया कि 1A61AC उसमें नहीं मिलेगा. अब घबरा गए, दूसरा प्लानिंग किया. सेम एड्रेस, नई कंपनी. नाउ दे गो टू टाइटस. चलिए, ये भी नहीं मिलता है, टाइटस में जाता है. टाइटस में क्या हुआ? उधर रेंटेड एकोमोडेशन है, यहाँ क्या है? 2 हाउस है. कितना 54 पे में डिडक्शन भी क्लेम किया है. नाउ द अदर वन, टाई ब्रेकर का दूसरा टेस्ट. उधर तुम्हारे पास क्या है? बच्चे का एडमिशन, वाइफ उधर स्टेइंग देयर, गोइंग टू स्कूल, बैंक एंड क्रेडिट कार्ड, नो अदर इन्वेस्टमेंट देयर except the regular. What 8 economic sources applicants from Flipkart exempted companies invest in Indian ecosystem, startup ecosystem. History Indian national का बहुत सारा history भी है, because it's staying since 11-12. So there are so many things is available. He also assessment. Now they go to okay. Now you use this also. Okay. He was assessment order, draft assessment order, eligible to only non-resident. Either residential, this is not applicable. The final order July 20 is based on an invalid process. The correct deadline is September is missed. The assessment order barred by limitation. So वो भी use कर दिया. Now he is resident, so he is entitled for that. मैंने आपको ये पहले डिस्कस किया. नेशनल फैसिलिटी असेसमेंट सेंटर does not apply to international tax circle, but is a residence and FSA will be applied. High Court का एक जजमेंट है. Implication key implication. Does visiting explanation 1B requires you to settle in a non-resident? First, everybody says yes. First, you have to settle as a non-resident outside India. Then visiting 60 days can be extended to 182 days. Establishing a company abroad is not enough. Scrutiny of shareholder address and timing is also very important. Economic nexus, earning capital gains from Indian asset while living abroad complicates the center person's vital interest rates. Definition, procedure limitations. The definition of eligibility can void a 1,000 crore demand if missteps the process. Clear? This comes to a conclusion of this talk on this thing. Any question on this, you can ask me. Tiger is also there. Tiger का judgment भी है हमारे blog में. Considered versus contested diverse. BMC में election कैसे जीता. We are going to talk today, day after tomorrow, about economic progress of India. On the basis of that, you can choose what company share you need to buy, what company, which way you need to invest, how India is progressing, what education you can have. It is also can be available on the basis of there are so many industries are coming. You can go there also. So there are so many things available. Why you need to invest in share market, which land you need to buy, where the progress is there. So already covered. AI का भी काफी class लिया है. With this, I conclude today's session on this thing. Many things are available on blog. Please join through blog, listen to our talk. Everything is available on blog. Thank you very much. With this, I conclude the today's session. Stop recording. Yes.